And welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
This is my karate chop. Hua! Because today we are finally sort of fulfilling on a promise. Hua!
To destroy technology with chops?
No, we do. I think it was probably episode 4. We promised to show you how to put a computer together, or how to build a computer.
Yes, we've been promising that for a while.
Like, it's been a long, long time, and we suck because it took us this long to get organized around it.
Well, to be fair, what the reason we haven't done it up till this point is it is quite a big process. There's a lot of steps in this.
Takes 4 years?
It doesn't take 4 years worth of steps, but I mean, if you consider the format that we have at Lab Rats, we mouth off a lot and run off at length at times, but generally not enough to build an entire PC.
True,
that's a very long process.
Right, and we should make a point here that we're going to show you the first step in building your PC, acquiring all the pieces. It's kind of the shopping piece.
Yes.
So imagine Lab Rats as the shopping network for computer bits, right? So, so we're going to show you the key components you need to prepare to build your PC, and then in a future episode, not 400 episodes later, we're going to show you how to put it together.
Very soon. Very soon. We've got to build this thing for another project anyhow, so you'll get the results.
You get the results. Okay, good. All right, so let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to build a computer, or at least we're going to go buying for parts for a new computer. Today on
Lab Rats.
All right, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about hover.com. It's a domain registrar that we love. Place you can buy your web addresses. You can get an email account with your own personal email address. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. Matt just bought one for his mom. You bought one recently.
Not for my mom, but for me.
For you?
Selfish. Maybe I should buy one for my mom too.
You should. I think your mom should get on the internet.
She wouldn't even know what to do with it, I don't think.
Well, that's
she's not a building a website type of gal, so.
Well, hey, everybody's mom needs a email. I mean, at least a vanity email address. You could do seansmom.com.
I'll get on that.
All right.
As soon as we're done this, I'll register it.
Perfect. All right, so check out hover.com. Use this coupon right here for 10% off. We like to give you discounts from Lab Rats from time to time, so check it out. All right, now on with the show, because I know there's a zillion people out there waiting for this.
Yeah, and there's a lot to get to, too.
There is a lot to get to. So let's get started then. So we're going to go shopping for key parts to put a computer together. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to start with a hard drive?
Nope.
We're going to start with the fan?
Nope.
Going to start with a case?
Nope.
Computer, like the CPU.
We'll talk about
the motherboard.
The CPU and the motherboard, yeah.
Okay,
so
because that's the key piece, right? That's everything's built around that.
Yeah, so at first you have to determine really what you want to do with this machine. So are you building this as a gaming machine, something that's very performance-oriented? Is it going to be a bit more modest? You're just doing this as a home project. You want just the experience of building it, but you just want to surf the web. Maybe you're building it for your mom or your dad, or you're just someone who doesn't need high-end gaming performance. So you've got to start looking at that level of performance and then match your processor and motherboard to that. So there's two different kinds of processor manufacturers out there right now. There's Intel and there's AMD. These are the two big ones. There's a few others that are doing this, but they're not really out there in the way that Intel and AMD are. So you're probably going to be choosing between one of the two. Intel has a number of processors out there in the core line. i7 is the high-end one. i5 and i3 are slightly lower performance. AMD has some processors out there. They're generally a little bit more value-oriented than the Intel processors. At the high end, Intel can be very expensive. AMD is generally not that expensive, but they also don't have that same level of performance at the top end. So they're a very good choice if you want to get reasonable performance at a great price.
So if I want a super fast computer with multiple cores, I'm going to go after what, the i5 or the i7?
Yep, i5, i7, a lot of these processors, AMD has multiple core processors as well, so you don't really have to worry about that from a perspective. You'll be able to get multi-core no matter what you choose.
Right.
Now the important thing to do is you choose. We chose in this case an i7 processor, so it's here in the box right here, and they typically come with a fan, so we've got the processor in here ready to put in, and then the fan in behind here that we'll put on top of that to cool it down. Now the next thing after you figure out what processor you want in terms of performance is to match it to the motherboard. So it has a specific socket type that it uses, and you want a processor and a motherboard that go together. So in this case, it uses something called LGA 1156 socket, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's what it is.
It's called a what? LGA?
LGA, yeah. Which stands for Land Grid Array if you really care.
Yeah.
But it just is the way that the pins or the connectors on the back are arrayed. And there's 1156.
And is that a good socket?
It's a good socket. It's a fast socket.
So should the kids out there put it on the holiday list? Dear Santa, I want an
I guess.
LGA 56 blah blah
Yeah.
socket.
There's a couple different ones in the Intel world. There's also a 775, I believe, and then the AMD have their own types of sockets. But the key here is whichever processor you choose, the one that you want that'll meet your performance needs, you need to have a socket on the motherboard that will match that up. The other thing when you're getting a motherboard, you've got generally a few different form factors. This right here is an ATX form factor. It's full size, goes fair distance down, so it can accommodate all these other cards here that we'll talk about some of the things to put in them. There's some that are a little bit shorter. They'll maybe stop about here, over to here, and those will fit into more compact cases so that you can have a much smaller form factor computer for smaller spaces.
Good. So the takeaway here is match your motherboard with your processor, and really that's kind of the first building block.
Right, and then make sure that the motherboard itself as well has all of the other features on it, like the number of card slots you need, that it has the number of RAM slots you need, that it has the number of connectors for your hard drives that you need, all of that sort of thing. So we'll show you those other components in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so 2 down.
2 down. Okay, so next piece would be the case.
Yeah,
really?
so
or as they say in New York, a small apartment.
yeah, it's a small apartment here. So here's the next thing you have to match up.
Look at this thing.
So we've got a huge case here, and that's because we've got the motherboard that is a little bit longer, right? So you have to make sure that the motherboard will actually fit into the case. If
Yes,
you get
indeed.
too small a case, the motherboard won't fit into it. So we can pull this side off of this. And one of the things you should look for when you're looking for a new case is that it'll fit all the things that you want to go in there. So make sure it accommodates the motherboard first of all, but make sure it has enough bays up top here for all of your CD drives, your DVD drives. Make sure it has enough spaces here for your hard drives to fit into.
This has like a little thingy here. Is that where the hamster wheel goes so that you can be hamster powered?
Yeah, this is behind the CPU typically, so that you can put a fan there if you really, really want.
Right.
These will often come with their own fans built in, so we've got one right here that will exhaust out the back. There's one up front as well in behind there. And the other thing I'd suggest when you're picking out a case is pick one that has good fans and good connectors. We have in here, we've also got some power connectors right in here, back here, so you can connect your power supply in there and then have a shorter connection to your components. So some different manufacturers will have that. A good metal case for cooling potentially. Some are better than others. Some are made out of aluminum. And the other thing that I'd really suggest here that's very important if you're going to be working inside this, make sure that you have easy access to the bays in here. Some cases make it incredibly difficult to get in and out of the hard drive bays, the power supply unit bay, and all of that.
Got it.
So make sure you have easy access and that has everything you need in terms of space.
Okay.
So
And next
that's
thing,
what's
I guess,
next.
would be the power supply.
Right, so power supply will power everything up. You're going to have a bunch of components in here, and you want to make sure that it actually gets the power that it needs. So we have right here a power supply from Ultra. Actually, we'll bring out another one as well, because we've got a couple different types. So this one right here is from Corsair, and you notice that it has a big bundle of wires connected directly to it. And that's all of the things you need to connect to your motherboard, to your hard drives, to the CD drives. Anything that goes in there needs power. Is all basically bolted onto this. Well, you might not need all these, and it's a bit of a mess. So what we've chosen in this case is this one from Ultra, which actually has what we call rails. So it's essentially connectors for the things that you need, and then a bunch of connectors come in the box with it. So if you only need 3 of these, you don't have this gigantic nest of wires inside your computer. You just pull out the ones you need and connect them.
Got it. Right.
Right? Now, the power supply unit has what's called a wattage rating, and the wattage is how much power it can deliver simultaneously. So you want to make sure that the PSU, the power supply unit, has a wattage high enough to accommodate all of the components you're going to be putting in there. So if you're going to have multiple hard drives, a couple of different graphic cards for better performance, a really high-powered CPU, 2 optical drives, well, that's going to add up.
Right.
So what I'd suggest, you can just buy high and get like a 1,000-watt one.
Yeah.
Or what you can do, just to be sure, is go to one of the many power supply calculators on the web.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can just start adding in all the things you're going to add in, and it'll add a typical
It'll kind of give
wattage
you
to
a
it.
sense. Yeah, okay, good.
So it'll tell you how much your dream system with the plans that you've had are going to eat up in terms of wattage, and I'd suggest going up from there a little bit. Give yourself a bit of breathing room in case you add something or want to upgrade a component to something that's a bit thirstier.
Okay, good. Let's talk about memory, RAM.
Memory. So you do want memory in your system.
Yes.
So in this case, we've got this 4 gigabyte kit from Corsair called Dominator. What you want to do is you'll want to match this to your motherboard. So your motherboard will use typically 2 types of RAM these days. In the past, there are a few older ones. If you're building the system from scratch now, you only have to worry about one of 2 types, and that's DDR2 and DDR3. The system we're building with this motherboard and CPU uses DDR3, so that's what we have here. We've got a 4 gigabyte kit, which essentially means we've got 2 sticks of 2 gigabytes each in here, and these will connect to the board.
Looks different than it used to.
Yeah, they've got heat fins because they're blasting a whole pile of data through there, and they get hot, so it just is pulling the heat away. Right. You can get ones without this. This is performance memory.
DDR2 or DDR3?
DDR2 or DDR3.
In the year DDR4 or DDR5?
Not yet. You're seeing some versions of that available on graphics cards for memory on that. But for your typical system, you're going to be looking at DDR3 as the maximum. Now, I'd suggest starting at 4 gigabytes these days for memory. Most new systems will handle over 4 gigabytes easily. In the past, you would have a cap of 4 gigabytes. Now you can go as high as you want, and this is a great starting point. If you can buy more, buy more. Okay. Because it's relatively cheap.
Got it. Okay. Hard drive, because this is where all the stuff's going to go, and I imagine your hard drive is going to be a massive one.
Yeah, so right here we have from Seagate, it's called a Barracuda, and this one is, I think, 1.5 terabytes. Yeah,
1.5 terabytes.
1.5 terabytes, 1,500 gigabytes.
It's crazy.
And you can buy them even bigger than that these days, so just get as big a drive as you can stand. Most computers and motherboards will handle multiple inputs for drives, so if you really want a lot and you want to keep the price down, you can always buy more than one cheaper drive, and you can generally get more capacity that way than buying the biggest one you can find. Right. These will connect via serial ATA. We've got the interface here. So one of them is a power connector that connects to your power supply, and the other one connects to the motherboard.
Right. Now, you can, of course, buy multiples of these, right? And put, especially in a big case like that, imagine you could put a whole bunch of these hard drives.
Right. So the case we chose actually has spots for 4 different drives, and I think maybe even more, potentially, if you hide them in other places. So. And one of the reasons you may want to do that is for RAID. So RAID either allows you to be faster by having mirrored drives, or sorry, striping the drives. So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. So one gigantic drive, and it's just splitting the load between the 2 drives. It's a little bit risky because if one drive fails, everything's gone. Right. Or you can just have multiple drives just for extra capacity. So,
especially in the world of video today, I mean, God knows, I have a terabyte drive on my MacBook Pro, and it's not enough.
Yeah. So one way
I don't get it because years ago, I didn't had enough when I had 100 megabyte drive.
Yeah, you have like 6 or 7 seasons of House MD on there, probably.
I probably do. You're probably right. All right, moving on. So once we have the hard drive handled, what about, I guess, do we still worry about optical drives these days, DVDs and CDs?
Well, if you're listening to Steve Jobs, no. But I think most people still worry about this because they want to play DVDs on their computer a lot of times, or at the very least, they want to use this for backup storage.
Or maybe even a Blu-ray player burner.
Right, so what we have here, we have from LG, we've got this combination Blu-ray burner rewriter, and it'll play DVDs as well. So if you go cheap and just get a regular DVD burner, you can get them for $20, $30 if you're lucky. Something like this will cost you a couple $100s or more, but it allows you to write to these higher capacity disks. You can push out 50 gigabytes at a time potentially, rather than just 4 at a time or 8 with the dual layer. So it does give you a much higher backup capability at a higher price. And again, these ones these days will connect via SATA connection rather than the old school connectors. So.
Okay. What about video cards?
Right, these are the last 2 big
components. When I say video cards, look at this video card.
It's
not so much a video card as a video computer.
This is they are little computers. Actually, what these things have is they have GPUs on them, and that's like the CPU on this. In a lot of cases, these things are more capable than the CPUs you have on your machine because they're calculating tons and tons of information for being able to get graphics up on the screen, calculate shading, lighting, all of these things laying surfaces around things. That's a lot of information to put together. So if you're having
there's lots of shades in Justin Bieber's hair, for example. So if you're playing the YouTube video, you want to make sure you have a graphic card that can deal with his hair.
I don't think you need a high-end card to do that.
No?
Only if you're reconstructing Justin Bieber from pure data.
Okay.
So right here we've got a Radeon from ATI. It's a relatively high-end one, as you can tell from the big size of this thing. There's a lot of cooling involved on this, a big fan, a lot of power on this one side. It takes 2 full connectors. You don't need to go this high. We're going this high because we're doing this one a little bit higher end. And you can see on this one we also have 2 outputs of DVI, and we also have HDMI as well on the other side, so that we can actually push this out to a big screen TV if we want, because it'll have a lot of resolution. We can do high definition with this. And if we have Blu-ray playback on this, then hey, we can play Blu-rays from this thing as well if we really want to.
Wow, that's cool.
Now, you might want to do this, and you might want to just go integrated. Sometimes you can get video integrated onto the motherboard.
No, don't do that. Not if you're going to play graphic card.
If you're going to do video games, don't do it.
Video games.
If you want to get a video card, if you are just going to be surfing the web, it's just a low-end computer, not a lot of high-end uses, then you can use the integrated. Same with the sound. So a lot of motherboards, in fact, most motherboards I think you'll find these days have integrated sound, so that you can connect your external speakers to them.
Yeah.
There's still a good reason to buy an add-in card like this. We've got this Sound Blaster card from our friends at Creative that will do surround sound to have these component level outputs as well.
Right.
So you can get high-end quality, past CD quality basically with these things now when you go to one of these cards. So if you really, really want the best sound you can possibly get, consider an add-in card rather than going with what's on the board.
Right.
The other thing I'll mention on these things is both of these use something called PCI Express. I'll just show you really quickly the interface here. So you've got this one right here. It's a PCI Express 16 times card, and it's a little bit longer, as you can see. This one right here is a PCI Express 1 times card. It's just a tiny little
way so they can see it.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of 1X cards these days, but they're starting to gain in popularity. So your motherboard generally will have a bunch of different PCI Express cards these days.
Yeah.
If you buy a new motherboard, older ones would have PCI or AGP for video. Most of it's moving to this right now. So
good. Good. Anything? I guess there's mods, right? If you want to get all fancy schmancy on somebody.
Yeah. So we're not going to put this onto our machine, but if you want to, there's things like this that will do water cooling or fluid cooling. So instead of using the fan that comes with the CPU when you buy it in the retail package, you can use something like this, which clamps onto your CPU and uses liquid to pull all of the cooling away from it. You can buy a bunch of fans that go around the case with colors that spin. You can buy lights that light up the inside of your case as well.
Sounds like Pimp My PC. Our friend Lucas Cochran's does stuff like this.
Luke has done a bit of this, so you might want to check out Pimp My PC at butterscotch.com to see how you can do some of that stuff. We're not going to do it in our computer because I think we've got enough going on already.
Got it. Okay,
but it is there as a possibility.
All right, fantastic. There you go. Shopping Spree today is the shopping channel on LabRats, where you can go and buy your computer parts in preparation for building it, which we'll do in a future episode.
We will do that very soon.
Very good. Okay, so let's take a break. When we come back, your clip of the week and picture time as well. One thing I forgot to mention before the break is you really probably shouldn't do this when you buy your parts.
Yeah, please don't touch my parts. You'll zap them. Keep them in the case. See, I put some of these away so he wouldn't keep doing this.
See, so
it's like poking at them.
Just a little tip there.
Yeah, and do not rub balloons on your hair and then touch them.
So aggravated. It's hilarious.
Just remember, I'll have to ask General Manager Andy for replacement parts.
Oh, no.
If he zaps them.
That's true. Good point. All right, let's have a look at a clip of the week. And speaking of Lucas Cochran from just before the break, he, of course, does a show called Pimp My PC. And you're going to see a little clip of one of his episodes where he's going to put crazy lights or something inside of a computer. So let's take a look at that.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List.
Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
So the first thing we want to do is once we know where we want to put it, we basically take our Velcro. And these particular lights come with all the pieces of Velcro that you need to not only attach the tubes, but also attach that power adapter as well. And again, I'm going to harp on the placement thing because as I found out, that power adapter can keep your case from closing if you don't have it placed properly. So as you can see, I had actually a couple of pair of hands. My associate producer, Michael, was jumping in to help me get that placement properly to make sure that we had the power adapter and the tubes Velcroed in the right places so I could finally get that case to close.
Well, if you want to see that entire episode, check it out on butterscotch.com. It's Lucas Cochran and Pimp My PC. And despite what our producer says, it's a fabulous show, and we love that episode. Matt makes fun of it all the time because he's like all lighty in his thing. But anyway, it's fine. Bruins suck.
Matt hates lights.
Oh, well. Okay, so time now for picture time. Which
Nope.
Matt? No?
No, you've been hassling me so much over the past couple of episodes as to, whether we're going to see videos or
Are we?
other things. Yeah, why not?
It's video time!
It's video time.
All right, awesome. And who do we have who's going to grace our pixels today?
And first of all, I'll say this
Yes.
because some people may not know how to send a video because they often are bigger than a mail will handle.
Yes.
You can use something like yousendit.com
Yes.
or one of these other big services that's out there to get it to us without actually having to clog up an inbox. So there you go.
This guy sent it on a different service. Do you remember what it was called?
I do not remember what it's called.
We'll put it up here because
That's
it was
it. We
interesting.
will.
All right. Okay, so who's it
Here we
from?
go.
Who
So
is
this
it?
is from our friend Andy in Thamesmead, England.
Oh, Andy from Thamesmead. He
But-
came to visit us.
He came to visit us, and he recently went into London to see the site of the Olympic Games.
All right, let's have a
And so
look.
we have a video.
Hi folks, welcome to Greenwich Park in southeast London. This is where part of the Olympic Games in 2012 are going to be held. I think it's the equestrian events are going to be held somewhere down there. Over that way is the Millennium Dome.
So that's a look at where the Olympics will be held next. I'm used to it being in Vancouver.
Do you see he's wearing his butterscotch
He
T-shirt?
was, yes. He got that during his visit here.
It's very good. Thank you, Andy, for firing up your. I don't know what kind of camera he's got. Do we
That
know?
was one of those Kodak handheld ones, was high def ones. So very good.
Very
We've
exciting.
actually got a couple videos in using that very camera. So
Well, if you would like to send your video to Video Time, you can email it to.
the Olympics are pretty awesome, and Andy is not at butterscotch.com.
Or more simply.
Feedback@librass.tv.
Now, don't send the whole thing. Don't attach, like a 60 megabyte video because that won't work. As Sean said, you send it or send us a URL on YouTube or something like that because
Yeah.
have a pity on us and our inboxes.
Yeah, or it might not even get to us if it's too big. So
There you
there's
go.
that too.
There's that too. All right. Any final thoughts, Mr. Carruthers?
I'm looking forward to building this PC. It's like I said, it's been a while. It looks like the parts that we got were actually pretty high quality. So I think we're going to have a good gaming machine here when we're done. Maybe not the bestest in the entire world, but it'll play better games than our old PC does. That's for sure.
And if not, we can rent it out as an apartment.
In New York City, yes. How much rent do you think you could charge for
A
that?
lot of money, I think, says General Manager Andy Walker. All right, well, thank you for tuning in this week. Don't forget, you can get 10% off on your domains at hover.com. And that's pretty much it. It would be foolish for us to be here building a computer for you out there going, oh, what computer should I get next? My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
Look at Andy for me, please, Sean. He's a bit ugly, isn't he?
I'm a sexy boy, I am.